Antahkarana and the EGA. Introduction Book 2, Part 1. El Morya, January 12, 2018. In continuation of the sequential unfoldment of the Elemental Grace Alliance divine plan, may we ask Kohan El Morya to come forward and share with us that which he wishes us to know, as part of this introduction to the new book that shall complement both Book 1, The God Awakening, and laying the further foundation for the greater unfoldment and the execution of this path that we have chosen. How can we continue to develop the Christ Council templates for the maximum benevolence in service to the greater whole? How can we focus more intently toward the manifestation of the new Reshel Grid Narayana Joy Light temples and communities? How can we assist in the drawing forth other like-minded dear souls to join this divine opportunity while continuing to create the cohesive energies of Shambhala, the hierarchy, humanity, and what is known as humanity, the supplementary seven? We look forward to your direction, beloved, in love and light. Bless you. Dear ones, I am El Morya, and I come today as part of this wondrous unfoldment that lays before you. I give thanks and am in joy for this opportunity to speak at this most auspicious time in the creation of this divine plan. This is my first direct discourse given to the whole of the Elemental Grace Alliance Council, including the dear human members. And so I now invite, in love and light, all esteemed members to come forth now and in the future to hear what I am about to share. I transmit these words across the etheric airways, transcending all dimensions and levels of dimensional frequencies, for all dear souls to hear and feel this exposition, entreaty, assessment, plea, magnetization, this illumination of truth through a deeper contemplation for all to consider more profoundly, this united force field of love and action, through their I Am presence, so they may, if they are ready, come and unite with us in a heartfelt way within and for this divine plan. All are invited, but we know only those ready will truly read or listen to this message, will find an easier spiritual transition in the future. What happens after that is of their own free will choice. As part of the template for the EGA discourses created thus far, I am El Morya Kohan of the First Ray. My qualities and virtues are Christ responsibilities, Christ power, Christ will, Christ purity, and Christ faith. I am the initiator of the throat chakra that relates to the divine faith in God's will and the word of wisdom. Dear souls, what you have asked would fill volumes of books, but we are only interested here for now to consolidate the information to maximize the opportunities that face humanity in the next few years ahead. I shall begin here in an elementary way, before I go into the realms of the complexities that will envelop this journey as you begin to approach the greater awareness. By keeping it simple here, we offer you some unassuming understanding, so that you may both appreciate and hopefully further implement, in terms of your own superficial natures, for it is a near impossible task at this point to gain sufficient attention of those to take what all the masters share within their communication. Many listen and read our channels around the world, and still the majority do not hear the messages deep enough to make the necessary change in their lives, to make a difference within the life of humanity upon earth. I say this not to the general populace, for they are totally unaware of the truth of their realities, but to those who represent the New World servers, those who stand upon the cusp of the greatest changes ever known upon this planet. There remain two potentialities of change to come. 1. The change that Mother Nature and the elementals will enforce, that will entail massive world events through earthquakes, tornadoes, volcanic eruptions, floods, plagues, droughts, and storms like you have never seen before. And 2, the change through the use of grace, ease, minimal destruction, and loss of life. We have outlined this in the Elemental Grace Alliance discourses, but still no one is listening, and not really. We knew this was coming, whereby humanity, even those more advanced thinkers, would still find that their own ego desires and self-preferences would continue to take preference over the healing and clearing of old human consciousness that is responsible for the huge earth events that must be employed to bring this planet back into balance before humanity themselves would destroy it along with themselves. We have to tell this story. Nearly 80 years ago, Shambhala sat in council and decided to initiate a divine plan, one of many. In this case, a divine plan that would come into manifestation for the purpose of greater awareness, in the hope that those who are ready to step into higher responsibility and authority who could then take the reins of human evolution upon the ground themselves. The purpose was, as it has always been, for humanity to take over their own evolutionary process, to clean up their own mistakes, miscreations, and bring balance back to all matters that relate to this Earth and solar system is the only way here. That plan, which began 80 years ago, is what has become known as the Elemental Grace Alliance. Not by name, but in essence. The divine plan was to become an educational platform, whereby it would take vast amounts of information and condense it down to show, in the shortest time possible, a formula that could do two things. 1. To identify those aspects of human history and evolution in a way that would stir, inspire, ignite human desires to take the next step toward the goal presently in focus. 2. To create a formula whereby, if followed carefully with the utmost of commitment focus, could fast-track those who could still not quite ascertain sufficient knowledge themselves to make the necessary decisions that would stir them enough into a world of action to change this third-dimensional reality into being about sustaining and maintain a quality of life and freedom of spirit for all. Many have tried, and many have made huge strides. Many have paved the roads with wonderful, heartfelt intentions, and we tell you all these have made many major changes in the direction the Earth is revolving toward. Many groups exist today who are truly unaware of just what is required for Christ communities to be made manifest. I tell you that the present members of the Elemental Grace Alliance are still unaware of this. However, what is unfolding herein is that because it is consciously unknown, there is also a desire and focus of not trying to direct it any particular way. It is being allowed to unfold in its own way and in its own pace, while not holding onto any past knowledge or processes of which have to a degree worked for previous successes, but which cannot be sustained in the new Aquarian Golden Age. So the Elemental Grace Alliance is first and foremost an educator. The first book of words was created. It was called Phase 1. Since that time, nearly 2 years ago, Phase 2 has been in place, and it has been unfolding in such a way to shed greater light upon this plan, and how it shall continue to unfold. Book 2, then, is the result of Phase 2, a sequential unfurling of chronological events that shows clearly, through discourses and a variety of experimental and exploratory ventures, that will culminate into a new creation of what we can now see as potentials here upon the planet soon. I will not speak of this further right now, for although these are our goals, that of grounding our etheric temples within the physical plane, first the Christ Council must become a reality on the ground within humanity itself. This will be done through the building of the Rainbow Bridge, the Antahkarana, your earthly link to the Prime Creator, the I Am Presence, Shambhala, hierarchy, and humanity, as our beloved Dual Kul has gone to great lengths to explain and define in all his books. The building of the Antahkarana has to be done intelligently, wisely, and knowledgeably, but not critically, analytically, or seriously. It is a personal endeavor, and one that must be born of the individuality of each human expression of the God Self or the I Am within each dear soul. Then, and only then, can it be expanded upon into the group Antahkarana, for the purposes of which I have shared above. It is essential that to start this work, for those who have not already begun, that it should be based upon that which is today in existence and in a way that does not separate or discriminate between purpose or technique, individual or group. Nature does not work with such divisions, fissures, or interruptions within its consciousness. Yet in humanity there must remain an apparent hiatus, a lull or interval between facts and what is known about humanity and the various races of mankind. This is important due to the differing natures of each culture, race, and creed of mankind. In previous transitional periods, some of the bridging forms between human races have disappeared, and illusionary gaps are accepted as reality. This illusion serves a purpose, but it is not real, in fact, or in reality. Because man has intelligence, this purpose eliminates misperceptions and further miscreations had mankind created further separation and division without knowing the truth. Through the study of the 7 root races, this would become far more apparent and more widely understood. You have not yet discovered all that is to be found in the world of phenomenal appearance, yet you have now entered, dear ones, one of the greatest natural transitional periods of all time. To pass through it, however, many divine sacrifices will be needed to be made. Beloved Sanat Kumara defines divine sacrifice in this way. When we use the word sacrifice in spiritual matters, we think of giving oneself up to a higher power. As one progresses spiritually, one realizes that their individuality will come under the dominion of a greater will. Further along the path of initiation, the initiate learns that his true will is not his personal will, which is diminishing, but is his monadic essence, qualified by fixed determination, to follow the will or purpose of the planetary logos. Sanat Kumara is our highest example of sacrifice. He has taken on the responsibility to serve as Earth's soul and become the great sacrifice. It is also man's destiny to become a savior of humanity, brought forth to this stage by great evolved beings within the spiritual hierarchy, who in turn are under the supremacy of Sanat Kumara, the eternal youth, the creator, the Lord of the world based within Shambhala. We are therefore laying the foundations here for the emergence of the new Adam, Lilith, Cadman man and woman human race, a new species of human being, more highly evolved as a human family circle of oneness. However, within this present human race, the problem remains, and much of the present failures going on within this present stage of evolution is in desperate need to measure up to the levels of consciousness required for humanity to pass through the next rings of consciousness. This will only require a very small percentage of humanity to achieve this. But you know this already, else you would not be reading or listening to this at all. Today there is a need for far more symbolic aspects for the human race to grow. You may not recognize this, and it may come as a bit of a shock to you, but it will make sense when I explain it for you. It is about reading and writing. Reading has to do with the tailoring of ideas, visions, and images with form, and this is related to the first step in the creative process, wherein deity, governed and impelled by an idea, embodies God's purpose and plan, converting that idea, vision, or image into the desired substance, and then tailoring it with the needed outer appearance. The Elemental Grace Alliance is providing this tailoring process through its writing. This does not necessarily have to duplicate in every aspect of its own God design, but simply to be tailored formula, a generated template, that provides the truth of its design in a manifested way that cannot be denied as a God plan with a God-given purpose through divine will as the result. Writing then symbolizes the methods whereby the process is carried on, but it is of course far more personal in its implication. Reading is concerned essentially with the realization of a tailored idea of some kind, any kind, whereas writing is, curiously enough, concerned with the individual's conscious self-relationship to those ideas, visions, or images. It is the measure, the truth of the writing, the information delivered, and the confluence of the words and idea that produces the light substance that then has the potential to manifest, precipitate that idea, vision, or image. This relates to the natural flow of precipitation in nature. The idea, the ideal, and the idol. Dwal Kul says, the head, the idea, the heart, the ideal, and the throat, the creative agent of the resulting idol, the temporary and fleeting expression of the ideal inspired by the idea, shall come into being. Three great centers shall now emerge in time and space, and at this point in the evolutionary cycle we call them Shambhala, the hierarchy and humanity. So here you have the Elemental Grace Alliance. Book 1. The God Awakening is the idea, the head. Book 2, the group, Christ, Antahkarana. The ideal is the heart. And Book 3, the Christ Council, the throat, shall be the creative agent of the resulting idol ready to make manifest precipitate. The idol is the life of the idea and the ideal. This Book 2 is designed to lead one to the heart of the ideal. It has taken 2 years to formulate and put into practice. An experiment with, and although the present group members of the EGA, the Son of Even Pressure Disciple Council, have and continue to walk an unpaved road, the intention is to pave that road with proven results for others to follow without having to pave all over again. The results thus far we can see are proving to be valid and exemplary, albeit not necessarily seen by our brothers and sisters upon the ground just yet. But we tell you, the elementals and the devas are aware of the intentions and visions to create and give form to those ideas. Phase 3 will, through divine will, begin to solidify this divine plan. I inform you, the Elemental Grace Alliance has now become a living organism, and cannot be classified as a foundation, organization, or a business that produces product or services for generating revenue or profit, as many spiritually based groups are. The EGA is without hierarchical levels of internal structure. All members are equal in position and responsibility. Beloved Dwal Kul says this in Rule 3 of the 14 Rules of Group Initiation. The work now being done by Shambhala and the hierarchy on behalf of humanity will tend also to develop group consciousness and the formation of many groups which will be living organisms and not organizations. It will make group initiation possible and will enable certain aspects of the will to flower forth correctly and with safety. The tendency to overlook the distinction between groups and organizations are still very deep-seated. The coming of the Christ will throw much light upon this problem. A study of Rule 4 as given to disciples and initiates will also serve to clarify this matter. And with that we shall now concern ourselves. End of excerpt. The other aspect of writing from the standpoint of the Masters is to anchor new ideas into the conscious mind of mankind, to bring into potentiality certain words, definitions, and concepts for further manifestation by humanity themselves, especially in the times where the need for change through the advanced thinkers to begin to aspire to. Those who we call disciples and initiates, a disciple of one who has not yet completed his or her third cosmic initiation, and the initiate is one who has passed the third initiation. In the Rays and Initiations by Alice Bailey, Dwal Kul says this about disciples and initiates that reflect the foundational intention of creating specific formulas of approach that shall evoke through invocation and decrees the attention and action of the hierarchy and Shambhala to unite with humanity within the spiritual triad. For disciples and initiates, let the group life emit the word of invocation and thus evoke response within those distant ashrams where move the Kohans of the race of men. They are no longer men as are the Masters, but having passed beyond the lesser stage, having linked themselves with the Great Council in the highest secret place, let the group sound a dual chord, reverberating in the halls where move the Masters, but finding pause and prolongation within these radiant halls where move the light which carry out the will of God. This can be seen through the ages that have inspired or brought about advancement to the human race. Without the inauguration of the framework, structure, and fabric of the new age, which will start with certain premises, while only remaining dreams to so many, can be exalted by the New World servers who will develop the new human race within the Aquarian Age. This new Aquarian Age will dominantly precipitate through the new group activities and interchange of ideas, visions, images, and inspirational focused attention with group interplay, group idealism, and group consciousness. The Piscean Age, now past, was one of the personally unfoldment and emphasis, personality focus, and personality consciousness. Now you have a very broad understanding of the Elemental Grace Alliance Divine Plan. If you have not already read Book 1, The God Awakening, then I would invite you to do so, for it contains the very foundation of the idea, by providing a summarized account of that which I have explained above. To engage this plan, the reading of this book, too, the group Antahkarana, will not help you much, for without the previous part read and reviewed and tailored to your own individualized expression, you will only fall into the trap that so many fall into, and you will not appreciate the value of the work. Book 2 speaks for itself and is graded within its radiation for the increased momentum to take one through the various opportunities to see and recognize the formula of approach, a formula and template that once employed will, without doubt, assist in the fast-tracking of one's expanding consciousness. But remember this, it is going to ask for your complete divine sacrifice to all that no longer serves you. It shall mean for you to be stripped clean and release all personal desire, to surrender you to the higher Christ will. You are being led here to a set of 14 rules that have been tried and tested over eons of time. You may not understand everything you read, but do not be dismayed, for if you do everything you are guided to do and forget about your own personal attainment for both individual and group initiation, it will all happen quite naturally. But make no mistake, you will still have to do the work and surrender to all you continue to hold on to, that which relates to, I shall do it my way. Your way, dear soul, is about to end. If not, then your personal development shall only be delayed and elongated within time itself. End of Part 1.